Hey, it's NPR's Book of the Day. I'm Andrew Limbong. José Andrés and his World Central Kitchen has done yeoman's work feeding people after various types of emergencies. And the stuff they serve isn't just like prepackaged MREs that you add water to. No. They're making like food, lovingly prepared and, good tasting. And he talked to Here and Now Scott Tong about adapting recipes in order to be able to make and serve them on the scene after a disaster. That's after the break.
Support for NPR and the following message come from Rosetta Stone, the perfect app to achieve your language learning goals no matter how busy your schedule gets. It's designed to maximize study time with immersive 10-minute lessons and audio practice for your commute. Plus, tailor your learning plan for specific objectives like travel. This holiday season, get Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership for 50% off and unlimited access to 25 language courses. Learn more at rosettastone.com/NPR.
There are disasters everywhere in the world. You don't need us to tell you that. Continuous needs for shelter and medicine and food. And that is where World Central Kitchen steps in again and again. For more than a decade, it has flown in teams to cook fresh meals in emergencies. Right now, it's prepping to help in the Middle East, in addition to its current work feeding earthquake survivors in Morocco and in Afghanistan. And you know what happens sometimes when food aid comes? People ask for the recipes, really. You can find the recipes in the new World Central Kitchen Cookbook. All sale proceeds go to the organization's work. And I recently caught up with the founder, Chef José Andrés, a very busy man who was on the run in D.C. And I asked him, at what point in a catastrophe do people actually request his recipes?
Well, I think World Central Kitchen in more ways than once has written what emergency humanitarian aid should be. When we're feeding after earthquakes, volcanoes, wars, why our food always seems to look so great? Because we partner with the people that are amazing cooks and restaurant owners in the areas we go, and because we always try to cook with local vegetables and fruits and meats and doing local recipes.
Yeah. Well, your cookbook, I've got it in front of me. It's fascinating, not just because it goes into your personal story and the founding of World Central Kitchen, but the recipes are grouped by values. There's one section called community for communal dishes. And then there's empathy. And I want to ask you about that. Empathy is food to comfort, food that takes time to cook. Do you have a favorite from that section?
Well, I would say that in a cookbook, like I'm a father with 3 daughters, I have no favorites. They are all my favorites. But on empathy, my friend, let me tell you, providing relief to others cannot just be like a job, a business that is 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I've seen that in the worst moments of humanity, the best of humanity always shows up. And it's plenty of empathy in every one of the people I've seen through my life when you go to those emergencies, when they go to a community that has lost everything, when there is no water, no electricity, no cell signal, where people has lost loved ones. And you're right there, use with what you have, which is a message through food, through water, that they are not going to walk alone, that we are not showing up today and forget them tomorrow. No, we are going to show up today and tomorrow and the day after. You mentioned Morocco. We were not only doing in high mountain, forgotten villages with no access by road, delivering food through helicopter, but in the process, the men and women of World Central Kitchen were doing medical evacuations and sometimes saving the lives or even bringing pregnant women that were about to go into labor to hospitals that without the helicopters of World Central Kitchen, this wouldn't happen. You see big problems, sometimes they have very simple solutions. In our case, I will say empathy is the secret ingredient.
Well, I hear the empathy in your voice. In the cookbook, these are many kind of braised dishes that take love and time to cook. I made one of your recipes last night in the Hope section. The Hope section is stews and soups, and my wife and I are going to have this for dinner tonight, the chicken chili verde. It's a kind of a chili, but the star to me is this puree. I want to ask you about it. A puree of tomatillos, chiles, garlic, and cilantro, and then it takes 2 hours of simmering. It is so filling. Is it the time, the simmering, that makes this so smooth?
Obviously, in the early hours and days of an emergency, probably I guarantee you we don't have the time to do 2 hours of simmering. Things, while they are far away from being normal, they are already better than right after the emergency happened. And then is when dishes like these, which are local, can be in Oaxaca, can be in the heart of Mexico, can be in Guatemala. Obviously, stews for us are very important because they are easy to eat, but also because they come in the form of a stew. You can go sometimes 1 or 2 hours away, and the heat keeps all the time the food super hot, and these allow us to deliver hot food sometimes in faraway remote areas. It's like a tamal. A tamal is not only a great traditional Mexican dish that now you can find in other parts of the Caribbean and Latin America, but also when we don't have plates and forks and knives and napkins, a tamal that comes in the husk of the corn or banana leaf allow us to deliver food where people can eat it with their hands, which is not perfect, but in an emergency is ideal.
Yeah. And as you write in the book, the work that your group does should morph someday into not Doctors Without Borders, but Cooks Without Borders. Just briefly, what do you mean by that?
More than 10% of the world population are in the food business. If you add the farmers, probably we're a family that is around 15% of the world population. That means we have an army of people. Imagine that if in any emergency we are able just to activate these people. Imagine that we become an army of good. It is my dream that in the next 5, 10, 20 years, through the work the World Central Kitchen has done, we can say one day that we have such a strong network in America and around the world that with the right investment, with the right financing, support by every single government, UN, and big foundations, and individuals and private sector, one day, using that network, we can claim that hunger is over, that poverty is over, and all through the power of food. This is what I mean.
Yeah. Well, and as you've said many times, we're building longer tables, not higher walls. Chef José Andrés is founder of the World Central Kitchen. The new cookbook is the World Central Kitchen Cookbook, and all proceeds go into the work that World Central Kitchen does. Chef José Andrés, thanks so much for your time and for the work that you do.
Thank you very much for having me. As we say in World Central Kitchen, wherever there is a fight so hungry people will eat, we will be there. Thanks to the American people and the people that support World Central Kitchen, we are able to be every day more and more in many emergencies around the world. Thank you.
That's it for this week on NPR's Book of the Day. Let us know what you think. You can write to us at bookoftheday@npr.org. I'm Andrew Limbong. The podcast is produced by Isabella Gomez Sarmiento and Ashley Montgomery and edited by Megan Sullivan. Our founding editor is Petra Mayer. The show elements for this week were produced and edited by Courtney Dornan, Connor Donovan, Wynn Davis, Todd Munt, Emiko Tamagawa, Michael Levitt, Sarah Handel, and Julia Corcoran. Beth Donovan is our managing editor. Thanks for listening.
Trying to pay off your credit card debt? Interested in becoming a morning person? Want to get into birding? Whether your goals for 2024 are teeny tiny or require a big overhaul, the Life Kit podcast has 50 ways to change your life this year, all with our handy resolution planner. Time to take your goals off hold by heading over to npr.org/lifekit or by searching Life Kit wherever you get your podcasts.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Lisa. Join Lisa in the pursuit of better sleep for a better world. When you buy a Lisa mattress, you're not the only one getting a better night's rest. You're also helping fuel Lisa's work with shelters and those in need. Since 2015, Lisa has donated more than 40,000 mattresses to ensure children and families have a safe place to sleep. Visit lisa.com to learn more. That's LEESA.com. Support for NPR and the following message come from Airbnb. Being an Airbnb host could be as simple as starting with a spare room or your whole place when you're away. Find out how much your place is worth at airbnb.com/host.